Hello guys, welcome to my channel, and my name is Adora. If you're just coming across this channel for the first time, thank you very much for stopping by. Now there's this trending video I've seen recently online, and it's about a care worker whose food was poisoned at work. Now the story goes further to say that this care worker usually prepares food for the residents, for her clients, for who she's taking care of, and each time she prepares this food for her clients, she usually takes some from the food to eat herself. Like, she takes some of the food to eat. And the client has complained before about what the care worker is doing by taking some of her food to eat. But the care worker continued doing that. Like, she kept eating out of her client's food. And then the client got angry and told her family, or rather told the family about it. And then what the family did was to poison the food that the care worker actually left for herself. And after a while she ate, and before they could call the ambulance, something led to the other and she lost her life. Now, if this story is true, I have no idea. If it's a lie, I do not know. I'm just going based on what I saw online. But whether it's a lie or it's not, the fact here remains that as a care worker, you are contracted to carry out your job in such a way that you will have no mess or no flaws to your name. Now, one way of doing that is by avoiding certain things that you are supposed to know. Common sense should tell you that there are certain barriers, there are certain lines you should not cross. As a care worker, if you have really, passed through the stage of training, because before you become a care worker, a healthcare assistant, or a support worker, there are certain trainings you should have had that will tell you what to expect, the do's and don'ts of being a care worker, of being a support worker. So I'm surprised this lady is not aware of it, because if she's aware of it and she did it, then that means she flouted the rules of the job. Now, working as a care worker, there's certain kinds of abuse that clients face in one way or the other. And one very important one you should be very, very, very careful about is financial abuse. We've heard cases where care workers steal money from their clients because maybe they are put in charge of the client's finance. Maybe they want to go and buy one or two things. They take some change from the money, or they want to go shopping for the client. They collect some part of the money and buy for themselves, or they take the client out for lunch or for dinner. They also spend for themselves for dinner from the money that is meant to be for the client. If you are taking your client out, if you're taking a resident out for dinner or just an outing, and whereby the resident has to pay for certain things he or she needs, it is not your responsibility as the carer to spend from that money. The money has been assigned for your client and your client alone. You have no right whatsoever to spend from that money. And if you do, it is known as financial abuse. So that is where it becomes a crime. But a lot of people overlook certain things. They just look at it and like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's not just £1, or I just took 50p, or it's not just £20. No matter how little it is, the fact still remains that, number one, it is not your money. You're not supposed to spend from it. The money has been put aside for particular expenses of this particular client you're looking after. Number two, taking the money without the permission of the client is called stealing. And number three, you don't even have the right to take the money, whether you take permission or not, because that money has been assigned for a particular purpose. So these are certain things that people just overlook. There was a story I read some years back about a support worker who has been working for this particular client for years, for like 7 years. So she's been working for this client for a long time. The family of the client so much trusted her because, someone you've been working with for 7 good years, it's almost like you're part of the family. She spends the night with the client. She does the night shift. She does the day shift. She knows the ins and outs of the client's life. She knows practically everything. In fact, there's some things she knows about the clients that even the client's children do not know. So they trusted her, like, okay, fine, we can vouch for this woman. We can actually leave our father's life in the hands of this woman. And what did this woman do? She betrayed their trust because she noticed that, oh, they love her so much. They trusted her so much. So even if she does certain things, they will not believe that she was the one who did it. she was actually using a credit card. She opened a credit card in the name of her client, and she was collecting money. She was actually, spending money from this credit card. She was going on very luxury trips. She was spending on designer stuff for herself. She was taking good care of herself with a fake credit card that bore the name of her client. All these are part of abuses that a lot of care workers overlook, because you think the person you're looking after has dementia. He or she may not be aware of what's happening around them. He or she may not be aware of his surroundings. He or she might actually just say one thing to you this minute and the next minute the person has forgotten. But don't be surprised if there are cameras watching you. Don't be surprised if the families have kept a tab on you and they're just like waiting for you to fall into that trap. Even if as a care worker you are handed certain gifts, my advice, I will even say, don't worry, don't take it. Be polite enough to say, oh no, thank you, I appreciate it, but I don't want it. Because sometimes you can't even tell how far some families can even go to set a trap for you. Yeah, you can't tell how far some families, if they've been suspecting something about you or suspecting something that they feel you've been doing and you're not aware of it, they could actually set a trap for you. So sometimes try and avoid certain things. If you're going to work, go with your food, go with your drinks. Do not eat from your client's food. Do not spend their money. Do not use their amenities in the house. I remember there was a time I was working somewhere, quite a long time I was working somewhere. And in this particular home, we had 4 residents we were looking after. So when I got into one of the rooms, I saw a charger, just plugged to the wall. So my colleague was like, oh, is that a Samsung charger? She quickly picked the charger and she wanted to charge her phone with it. And while she was charging her phone, one of the seniors came inside and was like, one of the supervisors came inside and she was like, whose phone is that? And my colleague said, oh, it's mine. And she told my colleague, you're not allowed to charge your phone in the client's flat. Initially, it shocked me because I was like, it's just a phone, just charging. What's the big deal? But she explained to us that because the client has the flat, the client is paying the what's it called, electric bill. He's not supposed to share his electricity or whatever with other people, except he permits it. But because the client is not in a situation or a position where he can actually permit anything, because he's vulnerable, so there are certain decisions he can't take on his own. So because he's not in that position, that you now charging your phone in his room terms as abuse, kind of like it's against the policy of the company or whatever. Initially it surprised me, it shocked me. I was like, wow, just charging phone. But later on, when I got into the job, the more I got into the job, the more I began to know the tricks about the job. I understood exactly where you're coming from. If you as a support worker, you're working with someone, you should be able to draw the line in certain places. Go and do exactly what you are meant to do, exactly what you are employed to do. Do not cross certain boundaries. Do not feel too familiar with your clients. A lot of people lose guard a lot. They feel like, oh, I've known this person for a long time, and they let down their guards around their clients. They feel like, oh, we are family now. No, you are not family. You are a staff who has been assigned to work for your client. Know this and know peace. Number 2, when you go to your client's place or a house or wherever it is you're looking after your client, try and make it as official as possible. When you finish from your work, take your bags and leave immediately. Don't hang around and try and be, create an informal environment where you are like chatting, you're trying to have a cup of coffee and trying to make yourself feel comfortable again. That is your close of work hours. You should be out of that place. Don't feel too relaxed. Do what you're meant to do. Do what brought you there and leave. So as a care worker, extra care is essential. In some cases, ignorance is not a reason. Ignorance is not a reason for not being prosecuted. Ignorance is not a reason for not being queried. Ignorance will not be a reason for you not being called out. Be careful and take care of yourselves. See you next time. Bye.